So just to start off, I'm Nicole Torpey-Sabo. I'm the Managing Director of Research at Strada, and will be leading this project on the National Survey of College Internships. And I am joined by my colleagues Dave and Summer, and by Professor Matthew Hora from University of Wisconsin. So Dave and Summer and Matthew, want to maybe just quickly say hi to the group?
Hi, everybody. My name is Summer, and I recognize most of your names because I sent the invite. So I'm really happy to see you all here and help Nicole and Dave and support this exciting survey opportunity. So grateful to be able to work with each of you.
Dave Clayton with Strada as well. So great to be with you, and we'll talk a little bit more as we go. Matthew?
Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Hora at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and very excited to be here at this launch. Thank you.
Great. All right. Well, let me go ahead and share, let's see, just a few slides. So hopefully you can see that. So we're all here to talk about the National Survey of College Internships. This is a project that was launched out of the Center for Research on College Workforce Transitions at University of Wisconsin-Madison, and with seed funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And then now Strada Education Network is entering into a new phase of a partnership to help administer the survey. So I'm going to let Dave give you just a little bit of a background, because some of you may or may not be very familiar with Strada, who we are and what we do. So just a little bit of a quick background on our research and how this kind of fits in.
Thanks, Nicole. Strada became Strada in 2018. And one of the things that was launched just before we officially became Strada was a partnership with Gallup. And some of you may have seen that Strada Gallup work where they were calling and surveying people on the telephone, hundreds of people every night across the nation. And Nicole and I and Summer joined a team where that was in place, but Strada didn't have really an internal research capacity at that point. It was just a brand new organization, new philanthropy. And so we started building out ways in which, coming from that survey, as we heard from people like yourselves, well, what do I do about it? What's more actionable? How do I do it on my campus? We started building a series of things with the intent of being closer to people like yourselves and your peers and colleagues on with your individual institutions, to understand how to act to improve the outcomes of individuals who pursued education and training after high school. So the Strada Outcome Survey is one thing where it's actually a survey of alumni that they talk about, they report on the experiences they had as undergraduates, the skills they feel they developed, the influence of faculty and staff, and extracurricular and co-curricular activities, as well as coursework, and then about the multiple dimensions of their lives that they feel have been influenced by their undergraduate education experiences. So rather than just an ROI earnings measure, that quality of life, career satisfaction, strength of you feel as a member of the communities you're a part of, et cetera. So really a rich and learning experience for us. And then Strada Public Viewpoint, as the pandemic hit, we started surveying the public nationally every week to understand these disruptions to work in education and expectations about the need for more education, and as we went through the pandemic. And we added made a grant and a partnership with the National Survey for Student Engagement at University of Indiana Bloomington and their research center to add a career and workforce preparation module to that NSE survey. So about 100 schools in the last 2 years have selected that optional module. You can choose from a list of 5 or 6, maybe 8, and have been doing that. And so we have access to all that data in aggregate and at the school level without identifying schools. And then in the course of this work, Nicole's going to show you, we'll show you a report that we wrote earlier this year we connected with Dr. Hora at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. As we did a lit review, his name kept coming up about work-based learning and internships. And so in those discussions back and forth, he approached us and said, you know, our capacity as an on-campus research center, the way we're structured and the university we're at, it's not Bloomington where they administer, you know, the NESE and it runs. We're looking for a partner who could help us with the administration of fielding this survey, yet where we could still remain engaged as scholars and researchers and further advancing it, you know, the insights and knowledge that come from us. So we just felt delighted and flattered and appreciative that both Dr. Hora and the program officers and at the Gates Foundation said, yeah, this could be a great continuation of this work that we've started and been incubating and developing. So that's kind of what brings us here today, is this progress of Strada's commitment to primary research, where we hear from individual students and alumni about the experiences that make their education valuable and how it benefits their lives, and adding to this the National Survey of College Internships in 2023. So thank you. And I referred to that report that helped Nicole and Dr. Hora, Professor Hora, connect earlier, well, a year ago almost. And Nicole will highlight a couple of insights from this, and we won't go through in detail the reports on the website, but really by looking at the baccalaureate and beyond study from NCES, 19,000 plus graduates from the cohort of 2015, when they looked at their 1 year out outcomes, paid internships above practicum and unpaid internships and co-ops, paid internships had a significant benefit on getting paid more. Then we looked at our survey data from that Strada outcome survey and saw that, you know, a work-based learning experience was tied to higher reports of career satisfaction, a belief that your undergraduate education helped you fulfill your goals, and a belief that your undergraduate education was worth the cost. And then when we look at our survey of currently enrolled students, individuals who'd had a paid internship felt more confident that they'd be successful in the job market after graduation, and that believed in their present circumstances that their education is worth the cost. So lots of indications that internships and work-based learning, experiential learning, particularly paid internships, are really powerful experiences for young people, which, well, not young people, for students and learners of all ages. And Nicole will highlight a couple of things, but just we note the importance, and when we look at access, even in all these variables, you can control for field of study, right? People's majors, their age, their race and ethnicity and gender. And when you control for those, you still see limitations in access and who is able to obtain a paid internship. And so that being very important to understand, how do we provide these powerful pathways to equitable outcomes for individuals, and wanted to put these types of things in your hands for your work on local campus institutions. So I'll turn it over to Nicole.
Great. Yeah, and so we've already kind of touched on some of the highlights from this report. You all are here because you believe that internships may be important. And again, that report is available. But, you know, some of the things we found from the baccalaureate and beyond is about a $3,000 difference in first year earnings for students who had had paid internships, even after controlling for things like field of study and gender and race ethnicity that we know impact those earnings. And then, but the access problems, right? That we know that Black students and Latino students are much less likely to have had a paid internship. Women are still less likely to have had a paid internship. So we know that these are important experiences and they're not equitably accessible. So this is why it's one of Strada's key areas of focus is work-based learning. And it kind of brings us to this survey. So I just wanted to let Professor Hora speak a little bit to the development of the survey, in particular that the internship scorecard is kind of the framework for the survey, and give you a little bit of an idea of how that came to be.
Great. Thank you, Nicole and Dave, for the nice introduction. It's great to be on this call. This feels a little bit like sending off my teenager to college, because this is a big project we've been working on here at Madison for a long time. And we're just super excited about this new partnership, to have it reach a national scale and to have Strada's expertise behind administering this project. As you were talking, Nicole, I was realizing the origins of this internship study here at UW-Madison came, and I see some of my colleagues from the UW system on this call. There was a proposal several years ago to require an internship in order to receive a bachelor's degree at any University of Wisconsin system campus. And at that point, we started to ask questions like, do we really know how many internships are out there and who's taking them? What are some of the quality metrics? And does every student have access to them? And after doing a literature review, we quickly realized that we don't know much about internships. There's some great data sources out there from BNB, from NACE, from NESE, but they didn't have some of the questions and scales that we really wanted. And so we developed the survey in 2017. It's gone through 3 or 4 iterations. We've done pilot studies with groups of, I believe, 12 and then 17 campuses, combinations of community colleges, 4-year institutions, minority serving institutions, and PWIs. And through processes of revisions with users, primarily career services directors, student affairs directors, and campus leadership, we arrived at what you see on this screen. Just some of the key categories we felt that were missing in the literature and that both researchers and practitioners would benefit from. Essentially, one of the things that the Gates Foundation had asked us to do was to come up with a typology of internships. They were interested in, is there some sort of continuum of low to high quality? And after reviewing the literature and doing our preliminary studies, we decided instead to come up with this scorecard approach, where we decided that we wanted to structure the instrument as well as our research program to capture, the first category, purpose and format. Why are students taking these? How many are out there? And what's the modality? And when the pandemic hit, the modality question became really important: online, in person, or hybrid. The second section's quality metrics, and we drew on a variety of literature from management, a lot of research in Europe, for all of these metrics that you see here that are proven to be predictors of internship satisfaction, quality, and student outcomes. And then the last, equitable access, that's something that has not been studied enough. And so we added a lot of these metrics that we found, especially with the pandemic where the internship labor market kind of crashed. A lot of practitioners and institutions are very interested in who's not taking these experiences and why. And so this is a survey. Again, we're very excited that it's now in Strada's capable hands, and I'm looking forward to seeing it administered on a national scale, because we need more data, because again, there's not a whole lot out there at scale. And so hopefully this will really push the field forward.
Great, thank you so much. So just a couple things to help you all envision what a little bit of this looks like. These are just some screenshots of the dashboards that will come with each of the data. So hopefully it's the resolution's okay there. But so you can see, for example, under quality, some of those questions about supervision or, types of work, job shadowing, autonomous work, and then different questions around the learning goals and ways to break that down. So ways to sort of slice and dice the data. I'll show you one more dashboard, for example, around access. There are questions in terms of, so this survey is for all undergraduates, not only those who have had an internship. So that way you can analyze kind of the differences between students who did take an internship and students who didn't, among those who didn't, if they were interested in having one or not, and then what the barriers were to their participation in internships. So
and Nicole, maybe just highlight, like, the reference group here is between your institution and the others who are included in the NSCI, but something new that you're developing this year will be a national benchmark reference point, right?
Yes, exactly. So, one thing that's important is that everyone who participates, your data is never public. It's only, anonymous. But we will have an aggregate sample, and then we'll have a nationally representative sample working with a partner who has a large, survey panel of current college students, so that we can get, it doesn't necessarily matter just who the other participants in the cohort are, because we'll be able to have a reference point that's nationally representative. Thank you. So a few additional details, the different deliverables that you would receive would be a set of reports. So there's a snapshot, for example, of one of those that kind of goes through the different elements of the scorecard and all the different questions. As Dave mentioned, the comparisons to that nationally representative benchmark study, a Tableau data dashboard, which you kind of saw a little bit of what that is like, and then also the raw data. So that way you will have that individual level data to do more analysis on your own campus. The cost of the survey is $4,000. We're not doing differences for institution size. So that's any size of institution. And then in terms of privacy and confidentiality, this is, we're only collecting data for use for this research, and we're not retaining any individual student information. We actually, the way this will work is that you will be the ones to invite your students to participate. So we don't need to receive student information. We will provide the links, and then institutions will reach out to their students, because we've found through doing this a number of different years that the response rates are just tend to be much better when institutions invite their own students to participate versus, coming from a third party that they might not be familiar with. So I just have one more slide, and then I really want to open it up just for questions and discussion. So this is the same information I think you have probably already received. It's also on the website in terms of the timeline. So February is really when we are wanting to hear from people who are interested. It says application period. There's not an actual application. Just kind of let us know that you're interested. Here we're at this information session. And then what we will need in terms of a deadline is a participation agreement to be signed by March 13th. And so Summer, I believe, has shared all of that with everyone here at the session, but we can share that again, that participation agreement. We know that sometimes that takes a little while for that to be reviewed by legal offices. So we always suggest that if you're interested in participating to get started on that part right away. And then we will be fielding the survey mostly during the month of April, very end of March, kind of month of April. There's some flexibility there in terms of exact, fielding period, since you all will be sending this out. And I know spring breaks differ, you'll have different communication schedules. And then looking at receiving all of those data reports and dashboards in mid-July. So I see there's a couple of questions. Oh, that was Summer sharing the website. Thank you. So I think I can stop there and just open it up for questions from this group. We can share these slides out after the meeting as well.
I have a quick question, if I may ask. How do you share the information after reports are all done with non-participating schools, colleges, universities?
So we will be doing research, I guess, and publishing kind of national reports on the findings. These are the overall descriptive statistics about students who are participating or not, and quality and value. We would never share schools' data with any other school. Is that kind of your question?
It's more like if me as an institution, we are not able to afford this, and we would love to see the data in the future, and without specific names of universities, how we can have access to it.
Yeah, so actually right now, even on the website, there is a dashboard that has the results from the prior administration of the survey, and the institutions are anonymized, but you can already see, you can go through the dashboard and see some of those results, and there are reports that have already been published. So we will continue to make that sort of thing publicly available on dashboards as well as reports that we publish. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Let's see, Amber has a question. Can you speak to the class years included in this survey? So we would be open to surveying all students and then having that be a breakdown that people are able to filter by class year. So it doesn't really matter from our perspective in terms of how much data are collected. So if you want to reach out to all your students and then cut and filter it for particular class years.
And Nicole, on our national benchmark, what would we be providing?
Yeah, so that one is probably the benchmark will be against juniors and seniors.
So individuals who completed at least 2 years of undergraduate study
Yes.
would be then in a nationally benchmarked sample.
Yep.
And then on the dashboards, people could toggle, but again, that would be the primary focus, is that upper class person in the kind of publicly available data reporting.
Yes.
And again, as Nicole highlighted, you would pull the sample and identify and invite the students that you want to invite. So the current students, you send out the links to your students. So whatever is helpful to you in that specific regard on your institution.
Mm-hmm. And so the follow-up question, does the survey capture employer information, including company, industry title, etc.? Oh, sorry, Amber, did you want to speak to that? Okay, so I don't have, let's see, I had the slides in front of me, so I have to pull up the exact instrument. I don't think we have that level of detail, but I can share the exact instrument. I can pull up, but it's also on the website.
And Matthew, Dr. Horam, if you have any context on that in the development of the survey, that might be helpful to this group.
Yeah, so there is information, or at least the last time I looked under the hood at the survey instrument, about sector, like the sector of the employer. And we linked that to, I believe, the way the Bureau of Labor Statistics categorizes occupational sectors. I don't think there's anything about the title of the intern supervisor, but there, if I remember the version properly, there was an open text question that was getting at some more granular detail, but at the very least, there's something about the sector of the employer, and maybe a question about the size of the employer.
Thank you. Amber, you're pushing into the 2024 version. Good ideas coming forward. Thank you. Is there anything else that would be helpful to you as you consider socializing this with colleagues on your campus, on looking for kind of decisions to be made and anything else?
I have a question, and that I'm not sure if I caught, about who we would be inviting. Do you have restrictions or guidance? I'm at the University of Minnesota, so I'm not sure we would include our full student population, but I'm wondering if that's how you're envisioning this, or we might have access to students who are doing 4-credit internships, but I'm guessing you want more of a sample approach, right? If you could just say more about that.
Yeah, I mean, the the population that would be comparable would be those students who are in their, third year or above, but all students, whether or not they had an internship, because there's that component about access and barriers for those who did not have an internship. But I think, it's somewhat customizable to the school because you will invite the people that you invite. And then what we're relying on for the benchmark is that nationally representative sample. So there's not as much of a, and then we can sort of figure out, if we're including an aggregate comparison to other schools who participate, making that apples to apples. But there's some flexibility for you to invite, the population that you're looking for.
So Sarah, you might think about it as this is your opportunity to survey whoever you would like to in alignment with your strategic opportunities and initiatives on your campus. And so that was our experience with the alumni outcome surveys. There were some schools that did a very focused target sample, and there were others who set it out to, all their alumni, to 110,000 alumni kind of thing. So it can really be at whatever scale you'd like to approach it, knowing that you can always wait back and filter to get something representative. But if you want to pick up people at the margins in, different departments and those types of things, the cost, the volume of data does not affect the cost of administering, right? Like the programming, the fielding, the cleaning the data, the reporting, all that infrastructure is the same, whether it's 10 people or 10,000. So we're happy to consult with you if you want to think more about that and get our perspective, but you don't need to please us with the sample that we want. It's actually a tool to help you accomplish what you'd like to accomplish. Thank you.
Yeah. So Kayla had a question about progress updates on how many responses had been collected. And yes, we usually do those weekly. For anyone who's participating, you'll get those updates on those numbers weekly. And Summer has been, great about handling that. And then Amber has another question about the timing being in March versus September after summer internships. So, there's trade-offs to any time, right? So if we are surveying juniors and seniors, then hopefully they would have had an experience at that point. And then some of this is, you'd hope that if it's a lasting experience that had some kind of an impact, that even if it was 9 months ago, that they are still able to reflect on it and, think about the characteristics of it and the quality. I think, this is our first time launching it, so we may, figure out what window works best. But the idea is that, hopefully it's something that doesn't matter if the internship was just a month prior or not. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add about timing or anything, Matthew, feel free, but that was our perspective. Thank you, Ursula. Any other questions?
Thank you. It looks like we've done pretty well in that half hour, and other people have additional meetings. Feel free to move along, and our team will stay here for another few minutes in case there are other additional questions. You can reach out to us individually as well. But thank you for your interest and time, and we're eager to support you. And again, group questions can continue if you've got them. If you have things to do, you can go get them done. Thank you. Matthew, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Nicole, Summer, thank you as well. It's good. Turn out.
Nicole, there was just one other comment from Amber about just the competition with the first destination collection in
Mhm.
March and April.
Right.
So,
And then
Well-
one more came in about single internship or multiple internship. So maybe you can hit both of those.
Yep. And I have the survey instrument up, but I'm just trying to think about, Matthew, I'm not sure if you know this off the top of your head, if it's framed as the most recent internship. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, the most recent, I believe, in the last 12 months.
Yep.
But there is a question, we do capture multiple internships, and we've done some analyses. And the more they take, the more impactful the outcomes. So
Mhm.
that's captured.
Great. And so, yeah, understand the concern in terms of, wanting to make sure you don't interfere with first destination. So I'll say that, this is our timing for this year. We'll see if we end up offering a fall version, but this is for 2023.
We found in the past there was no good time for a survey because every campus has something, whether it's NESE or first destination, and there's a lot of local surveys happening as well. So yeah, after you do it the first time, I think, things will shake out, but there's always going to be conflicts. I was going to add too about sampling. I don't know if anybody's asked, but at first we had excluded nursing and teacher education, thinking that because they're required, we want to capture the other disciplines, and we found that was a mistake because they actually wanted more data that weren't discipline specific. So, and same with some of the liberal arts transfer programs at community colleges. So if people ask, I would encourage to try to get all the colleges and disciplines,
Yep.
If they have that bandwidth.
Yep. It's good insight.
Good to see you all, and thank you, Amber and Deborah and Jake. If you're still on, we'll sign off at this point. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.